Please don't cancel us. Anywho, hello and greetings all my BC WrestlePod nerds and nerdettes out there and non-binary nerds out there on the internet. I was about to say something, but I still have a little bit of brain power to not get us canceled. Hello to the he, she's, theys, and gays of the internet. Because the other way would have gotten, what's up, all you... Never mind. I'm going to tell Adolfo afterwards because I think it's funny, but it's going to get us canceled. But... hello, everybody, and welcome to the start. Well, unless you count Sunday as the start of your week. Some people count it as the end of the week. I digress. But this is the official start of this week's review of wrestling. And we are back with the Bites, your Stardom review squad here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, I am Mikey, my other lovelier, sexier, Joshi half in Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican. Hello, sexiness. What's going on?
Not much. Not much. I'm ready to talk. So good. Sorry.
I'm so happy. We decided to, get our stuff somewhat together and be able to review this. Yes, we know that we are a couple weeks late, but hey, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. We got to figure that whole situation. I'm not even going to get into the whole story of how of my issues, but I finally got to see Allstar Grand Queendom. I'm super happy. I just want to start off by saying, overall, this is my PLE event of the year so far. Every match was a banger. You're going to hear me glowing about every match. So just get ready for it. That's it.
Yes.
I also do want to just, toss this one little, disclaimer in that I am a brand new Stardom fan, so I don't have all the knowledge, right? When we saw the New Year's show, that just hooked me right away. And then we watched the
American Dream shows.
The American Dream shows from Vegas, and I was more hooked, and this just blew me out of the water. So I'm just that's, so I'm still brand new. So if I mess stuff up, I apologize ahead of time, but just know that it comes from a place of love. It's so good. I'm sorry. All right, let's do it.
Exactly. Before we get into the goodness that is Allstar Grand Queendom, a little bit of the housekeeping, if you will. You can subscribe on our YouTube page, hit the bell notification, follow us on Twitch, or if watching long reviews is something that you cannot do, and because time is not a thing that exists for you, then that is okay, because we get it. We all do. So you can make sure to follow us on the social medias if you want to just get a gist of how we feel about certain things by watching our out of context clips, as well as the report cards for the weekly shows and the pay-per-views. We cover everything. We do, well, at least what I think is everything, until we decide to add something else to our docket. We cover we cover all the major US based promotions, WWE, AEW, TNA, but we also cover, and also the smaller ones, including GCW and things like that, which is great. But we also have an international circuit of things as well. We have CMLL from Mexico, New Japan and Stardom in Japan, wrestling with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and of course our comedic base fed that we added, Mystery Wrestling. If you are more British wrestling, whether it be strong style or British catch wrestling, then we got you with Progress Wrestling. As shout out to Progress for actually noticing us, senpai. It's kind of crazy out here, and I'm super happy that we are. And then premiering this Thursday is our newest review team, the Ring Rats and Riot Axe team, because now we are adding Defy Wrestling, located in Seattle, Washington, to our review roster as well.
And you might start seeing some DDT and some other random promotions snuck in there.
This tournament,
you gotta pay attention to our social medias, because
Listen, this. Just saying, the Best of the Super Juniors tournament is making me want to check out DDT Wrestling more, especially with the folks that I have from that in my block for Block B, which is great. Also, shout out to the people who are having conversations with us about that on the social medias too, because a certain wrestler has Adolfo's heart, and I loved it. It's great.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for Friday to hear about that. I can't believe it's over in 2 weeks.
Let's go.
Yes, because tangentially we are in Japan with this one. We are reviewing Stardom's Allstar Grand Queendom 2025. We have a lot of things to talk about, so who knows how long this review is going to go, because
big card.
This is a big card, and so let's just jump into it. So I want to briefly touch about this, but we did have kind of a pre-show. It's free on YouTube match, which is the Stardom All-Star Rumble, in which it was basically a battle royale style where the winner would get a shot at any Stardom championship they want. So, of course, we had a whole bunch of folks that we see. Of course, smack dab in the middle is Fukigen Death, who I love, our lovely little clown of Stardom, as well as a lot of the other girls. This was a fun rumble because the way to win is you actually have to pin and submit your opponents more so than toss them over the top, which is great. But ultimately, our winner was Hanako, and she chose that she wanted to go after the Wonder of Stardom Championship, which, now that we're weeks ahead of this, is still currently held by Starlight Kid. So she wanted to challenge for that championship. So that was a lot. This was a fun one, and it's free. It's like an hour long on YouTube. It was fun to watch.
I cried when Momo was eliminated.
Not Mo. Listen, we have become such big fans of Momo Watanabe here.
Yeah.
But this was a fun rumble.
It was a lot of fun.
Hanako won. Yep. She would challenge for the Wonder of Stardom Championship at a future date. So more on that to come a little bit later. But let's get into, what the main card and what we kicked off in the main card, which was a Future of Stardom Championship match in which we had our champion Hina defend her championship against Rana Yagami. Out the gate, man, I was just like, I hear those hits. This was so much fun. I was just like, I will say it did take a couple minutes because they were feeling each other out. We were getting the back and forth for a little bit, be like, I could do this, you could do that. And then they just went in.
Yeah, I don't have any idea if it's microphone placement or where the camera is, or if they are using different like stage mics or whatever. But man, when they connected with those forearm shivs, you just heard that thud, thud, thud. It was crazy.
So this was as hard hitting as I thought it was going to be. This was good back and forth. I also really love, and not to compare the shows, but when comparing this to New Year's Dream that we reviewed at the beginning of the year, I was very pleasantly surprised, even though I've been following Stardom on and off for like a year or two now, of how much mat to mat wrestling that these girls do as well. So it's not just the strong strikes and the strong hits, but it's very catch style of wrestling with the very technical aspects of it too, which was a lot of fun to watch with this one.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get into it a little bit more down the road, but I believe, and when I was doing some tangential reading about Japanese Joshi wrestling, there is a thought process out there that Joshi's actually not a style, because it's just that Joshi means woman or girl, right? But they incorporate so many different styles into their wrestling, so yeah, you are going to have like that hard shoot, strong style. You'll also have like a lot of lucha libre inspired stuff. Like you said, it was really fun to see the girls get down and like some good like mat technical stuff in this match. So it was a great beginner, great way to start the show. I was ready for more.
Absolutely. This was a fun way to start the show, and it definitely set the tone for what we got next, which we're going to talk about right now. So we got a we got a singles match next, in which we saw Sayaka Kurata taking on, one of our new favorite gaijins from the world of Miss Thekla. We love Thekla. Of course, we talked about it weeks ago that this was her final match in Stardom. But I really hope she keeps the aesthetic and she keeps, the character work when she goes to AEW. Especially the one moment that popped me the hardest is when she first she hung upside down, to stare at Sayaka over here from the ring post. Then she gets down and she does a whole like spider crawl to her. I was just like,
speaking of which, I have my spider mug in honor of that. So.
And I was thinking to myself when that was happening, I am equally parts terrified and slightly turned on. I don't know what I should listen to.
Right? Yeah, I too hope that gets to keep that edge when she comes over, not to jump the shark, but she has been signed to AEW. So when she comes into AEW, I don't want to talk about that yet. I do want to focus on this match because this was a really good match. You know, like Thekla just loves to punish and bully people. I mean, that she's part of Hate, or she was part of Hate, and that's their whole shtick. And I feel that Thekla was one of the biggest enforcers for that. But Sayaka Kurara from Cosmic Angels, she really held her own, and she started dishing it back. I mean, Thekla took it, and it took, you know, a spear into a pile driver, you know, for Sayaka to put Thekla down so that she could pin her, right? But you know, showed that she was just as tough as Thekla. So I really, for everything that happened afterwards, which I do want to touch on that, I don't want that to overshadow the match itself, because the match was a good match and Sayaka wrestled a really good match against Thekla, and she got the win. You know, she got that win. So, you know, going into what happened afterwards, yeah, Thekla, quote unquote, goes off the rails. She goes after the president. She's been going after the president. You know, she started like she jumped out of the ring, jumped over the barrier, jumped on the table, started beating on the president. Other wrestlers from Stardom came out to try to hold her back. She was throwing them all over the place. I blinked and somehow she got the president's belt and was whipping him with his own belt.
Okay. So let me fill in the gaps
yeah.
a little bit too, because this was a tantrum of two parts. Because first, after the match was over, the president of Stardom gets on the mic. I was like, "Ooh, this is about to be juicy." And essentially, what kind of kicked this all off is that because losing to Sayaka here, the president be like, "You lost, so you won't join. You are going to be forced to join Cosmic Angels," which, you know, is
That's
totally
right.
against.
That was the yeah, that's right.
That was the thing. So Thekla was like, absolutely not. Then she proceeds to jump over the barricade, get on the table, start fighting him, drag this man through the barricades. Like you said, a lot of the Stardom girls tried to stop, but it didn't happen. I felt so bad for this one, you know, producer, whatever he is. He was wearing glasses, and Thekla smacked the crap out of him.
Oh, I know.
He sold it beautifully. I was like, yes, you better sell that. Which then led to, again, Thekla somehow managing, she was pulling off pants. Like, she literally got the belt and started, like, literally Latina Mama 2020, like, childhood, just, like, beating him with the belt. And then ultimately, it took, like, 6 girls to finally separate the president and Thekla, more so keeping Thekla from attacking any further. And the president had officially had enough of it. And when after everything kind of chilled out a little bit, the girls were holding Thekla back. The president gets on the mic and says that Thekla has been fired. So Thekla, reeling from shock a little bit, she just smiles evilly. She walks up the ramp, but before so, she shows the camera, and thank goodness for not blurring it out. She literally sticks the middle fingers up to the camera before walking out. So I was just like, damn, what a way to go.
Yeah, she definitely made her exit. Right before the president made the announcement in the ring that she was fired, though, he did whisper something into her ear. And on the way up, it kind of like the match from Vegas. It looked like Thekla kind of dropped kayfabe and looked like she was crying. So, and please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I honestly, you know, correct me, but I have a feeling that the president, like when he whispered in her ear, it was like, you know, we'll miss you or something, you know, actually something heartfelt
and be like, he's excited to see her next chapter and everything.
Yeah, and then I think that, you know, for as chaotic and, oh, you know, she left it by, you know, burning her bridge or whatnot. I think it was meant to be like that, you know. I think that she probably had a lot of input into that, you know, which does set the stage for her moving on now to AEW, you know. But we'll talk about that at the end of the review. Match wise, this was a fantastic match. So.
Oh, absolutely. And so was our next match that we're going to talk about. This is another singles match. This one saw Yumiko Hota take it on Rina. This match rules. There was blood. I was like, oh my God, somebody is.
Yeah.
And that's because they got popped in the face really hard. I was like, ooh.
This started our and it wasn't
at
played.
This point, I kid you not, because of how we were trained over the, you know, Hell Week when y'all were out here. I literally, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, blood count.
Blood count 1.
I'm like, listen, ma'am in the red, like lady in the red, as I call her now. I was just like, yes, ma'am. Like, ooh. I was like, I have no words. I was so stunned.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no notes on this match because I was so enthralled with what I saw. Like
Yes.
both of them went at it.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, there was a lot of emotion, a lot of great wrestling, a lot of hard hits, and yeah, like you, I couldn't take notes because I was just so like enthralled with what was going on. So
it really, really was, and I think it definitely showed the strength because we have such a diverse roster here on Stardom as well, and also bringing in girls from Sendai Girls, Championship Wrestling and stuff like that too. It was so good. Again, I have no notes for this, which, as a reviewer, you're like, how do you not have notes? Because when a match enthralls you with the action in the ring, to me, that is what I use as a litmus for, it was a really great match, because I didn't have a lot of notes. Though I did need to write something because I couldn't have like no notes, because then that would defeat the purpose of what we do. But again, I have very little notes. All I wrote down was like, hot damn. Yes, that is all I wrote.
Samesies.
It was so good. But yeah, this was another fun one. Blood count was at 1 by this point, and I had a great time. But yeah, Yumiko Hota, I'm going to keep keeping an eye on you because I want to know more about you. You are great. And then Rina, you also did really good too. Shout out, because I'm a big sucker of very gothic, like all types of fashion, like Harajuku as well. Like, yes, ma'am, I'm here for it all. Adolfo, I want to preface by saying this before we get into the details of this match. I have such a bias and an affinity because this involves one of my favorite Joshi legends of all times, and Miss Meiko Satomura, who has recently retired. I was crying. I kid you, there are very few times in wrestling that has made me cry tears of any capacity. I get emotional sometimes, but never cry. Her retirement made me cry later in the month because I was like, because Meiko has been a trailblazer, not just for Joshi wrestling, but for Japanese wrestling. Homegirl is about to hit 50. She's been in this business for almost 30 plus years. She has gotten to wrestle not only some of the greats in Stardom and just women's wrestling in general, but she's also had chances to diversify and fight men as well in her career as well. And just, come on, look at this regalia she's wearing in the all red. Like,
gorgeous.
There is something so regal about it. Which, by the way, not to say that the other matches didn't have it, but starting from this match, I was like, I want to give flowers to the production and the stage design. I was like, yes, ma'am.
I did notice that this match, starting with this match, it seemed like the production value like went up.
We got production money, honey.
Going up and up. Yeah, I'm same. Yep.
It was great. So I'm biased. I love Meiko here, but now let me get into what I'm supposed to do. We get a special kind of 6-woman tag team match, a trios match, however you want to call it, because Stardom doesn't specify what it is, but that is okay. But we have representing the Cosmic Angels, so we have a whole faction here. We had Natsu and Aya Sakura taking on the team of Meiko Satomura, Maika Iwata, and Yuna. This was fantastic. I was just like, shout out to Cosmic Angels, because I always say this, even when Meiko was in NXT UK and, America NXT for a little bit too, her kicks are some of the most brutal things I have seen in a hot minute. Like, Meiko just hits hard, and hard she will hit.
Yes.
But I also love that she still has speed. And this was a great match because the Cosmic Angels, who are known for more of their speed in terms of the style of wrestling that they do, they were able to kind of run laps a little bit around, Meiko, Mika, and Yuna. But this was such a great back and forth. I honestly didn't know, and honestly, it could have gone either way. But given the fact that Meiko would tire like days later, I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense of the outcome. But I was sold on this one. This was such a good back and forth. Yeah. And it felt very balanced, where all 6 of these women felt like they got an equal amount of time to show what they have, which is something we don't get to see that often in the States with the federations we watch here in the States.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Quite often to be fair, because I have been watching more of the international shows with, Stardom, New Japan, and CMLL, what a 6-human tag match should do, you showcase everyone. you know, and it's not just like, you know, one person gets like 5 minutes in and then like two people or one person gets showcased. So, but yeah, really good match. I actually did not know that she retired. So I have that news. I was this minute's year old when I learned this. So thank you, Mikey.
You're very welcome. And honestly, Adolfo, like I could send you a list, but anything that she did in the US NXT, NXT UK, or honestly, even her match, you know, where she got involved with Minoru Suzuki fighting on a bullet train,
That's the one.
where
Yes,
she
yes.
dressed,
I'll look
she
it up.
dressed,
Yeah.
yeah. Look up her matches because she is so good.
Yep.
I'm kind of so as somebody who may have not watched, you know, the wrestlers at their prime, I do my due diligence to learn about these legends. And this year alone, we have had two very strong women, you know, Joshi women's, you know, wrestlers retire. Mako just retired at the beginning of the year too. Andrew and I talked about it a little bit during our Bloodsport review too, because we had, you know, wrestling legend Sumi Sakai also retire earlier this year too, and Sumi Sakai and Meiko Satomoto have paved the way for what women's wrestling and Joshi wrestling in Japan looks like too. So I'm just like, it's crazy time to be a wrestling fan. I'm so happy. I love this match. This is great. Meiko, you will be missed, but I am so happy that you had such a fun retirement tour since January. We've gotten to see you all over the place. Me and Andrew got to see her wrestle in Progress against, you know, the women's champion, which was a phenomenal match. It was great. Mako wrestling in Japan, doing comedy stuff too. She's just so good. I love her.
Yeah.
So this was great. And again, shout out to Cosmic Angels for being able to roll with the hits. But Mako, Mika, and Yuna do end up beating Cosmic Angels, but this was such a fun match. I love this one. Blood count 2. Holy crap. Of course, I expected nothing less because this was our no DQ match, which we had Suzuki taking on Mei Saida. These girls just be like, forget the wrestling. I'm going to hit you in the face and make you. This is what I want no DQ matches to be all the time. Just like use everything and anyone as a weapon.
And I mean, it was Suzuki, who we know.
We've seen before. We know what she's capable of. Gosh, these girls. Also, you know, this could be a whole other podcast, but I love that all of our Stardom girls are different shapes and sizes.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, it's not a big thing like we do here in the States when we talk about women's wrestlers. I was just like, yes, it is all the girls doing all the things.
Yep. Yeah.
I also don't have a lot of notes for this because I was like, oh my gosh, they use it. Okay, we have Barry the Barricade. We have Jerry the Barricade. These barricades that they had for the Stardom show, we're going to call them Larry or Terry, Terri, because, you know, this is Stardom. But Terry the Barricade, the Roblox-esque like way they were built, I was like, oh, somebody's going to get hurt. And by no surprise, they were used as weapons.
Yeah. The way they came apart too was, it was going to happen, and it happened, and it was beautiful. So,
oh my goodness, but this was so much fun. Suzuki who does pick up the win here in this no DQ match. There was blood on the canvas. It was great. We loved it. Give me more no DQ matches. It's so much fun, please.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I would like if the no DQ matches were used sparingly. You know,
kind of like this one, because they're like, we hate each other. This is a no DQ match that was called for.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Don't just like throw two people in a no DQ match for like absolutely no reason. This one, there was a history. There was a whole build up for it. So we had a reason as to why these two wanted to kill each other. So
which is important. Take notes, other promotions, because I've always said this: no DQ, steel cage, and street fight matches should be reserved for when you reach the pinnacle of hatred that a rivalry needs.
Yep. Exactly.
Or if you need something where they've been fighting each other all the time, they hate each other's guts, and we need a finality to it.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
But this was great. Woo! Okay.
Our Sendai Girls World Championship match.
So I'm not even going to lie from here on out. It's just banger after banger, because these last 4 matches were like they are all in my top of the whole entire night. Don't ask me to pick a favorite, because it's like picking my favorite child, and I have none, because these 4 matches were great. But as you said, Adolfo, for the Sendai Girls World Championship, we have
Chihiro Yoshimoto, one half of the 200 kg tag
which
team,
we love so much.
Which we love. And apparently, unless she's dropped the belt in the time between
Mhm.
Queendom
I mean,
and us doing this, she is 1,000 days the
that's
champion.
crazy.
She has, I think it was like 15 title defenses on this belt. Yeah, not to jump the shark, but she retains. This was and not to jump over you, Mikey, but this was a fantastic match. You had two powerful women just going at it. Micah, I want to talk about Micah real quick and how her ring awareness is. And from what I understand, she is a newer wrestler. She doesn't have as many years under her belt, but she has such fantastic ring awareness. Every time like she was like slip that arm bar in, and being able to like get her foot to break moves. So good. Chihiro, I mean, she's still the champ. She has cemented herself as now like one of the greats, if not the greatest. And again, I'm new to this, so I'm not 100% sure what other champions that have held the Sendai Girls World Championship belt, how long their title reigns have been. I feel that 1,000 days she's cemented herself as a great, and she just, yeah, it's so good.
Yes, I 100% agree. I have nothing else to add. I'm becoming a big fan of Micah because we also got to see her at the American Dream shows,
Yeah,
and her match
yep.
against Tekla was also still
Yes.
sticks in my brain too of how good
Yeah.
that match was as well. And I'm excited. Like I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this, when we were doing, the American Dream shows, we are really truly in a new era for Stardom because we'll talk about it at the very end because, we discussed it on our New Japan stuff, but we could reiterate it here. We're truly in a new era because by the end of the show, we have retirements, we have new champs and all that stuff, and people moving over. So,
Yeah.
but again, as far as this match goes, this was such a good one. Chihiro is still our Sendai Girls World Champion, but I want to see more of Micah because she's also great too. And I want to see 200 kg more in action too because I love that. This was just a fun one. I won.
Yeah.
I truly won as the fan.
And really quick, I totally loved Micah's ring gear when she came in, like the whole cape with the half.
Okay, can we talk about it because the fashion was on point?
Chihiro's jacket that she wore with like that like monster on it, and come on, that was so.
It's so good. But man, this was a good one. But this match right here was also really. I love you some good tag team wrestling. This was for the Goddess of Stardom Championships, in which we had Wingori, which is Hanan and Sida, taking on the challengers of FWC, which is Hazuki and Koguma.
Not only is it for the championship though, but this was some action rivalry going on. This because they all Hanan, Saya, Ida, Hazuki, and Koguma, they're all part of Stars. And Hanan and Saida have issues with how Hazuki has been running Stars, saying that she's too tough on the new girls and this, that, and the other. So this not only was for the championship, but also for not control of Stars, but
the direction at least.
The direction that Stars was heading into. And yeah, another great match. Hazuki and Hanan are sisters. I don't know if that is a real life thing, but they said they were sisters. So, and it kind of felt like two sisters were fighting in there when they got in there because they were going after each other. And it was very interesting because it did seem like Ida and Koguma matched up more than going against Hanan or Hazuki, flips, if I'm making any sense whatsoever. There, Saya Ida, and we saw Hazuki and Saya Ida during Vegas weekend. I am a fan of Saya Ida. She is really powerful, but my favorite thing about her is the way she sells. She just has, I feel, great timing when she sells, just making everything look really she is such a jacked individual that when she gets hit and she sells, it's like, oh, you know what I mean. There was brutal headbutts. I was just like, please have a concussion protocol or something like that. Please check these girls afterwards. But Hanan hit her Hanan special on Hazuki for the 1-2-3 pin. Supposedly this match was going to squash the beef, but it didn't because Hazuki just rolls out of the ring, refusing to shake Hanan's hand. So we'll see where that's going.
Like, I love me some good inter conflict, because it gives the performers places to go and all that stuff, right?
Oh, so yep.
So, woo, that was
Get ready, folks. I got to take my glasses off for these remaining
okay.
matches.
So
Holy
let's just get
shit.
into it, because like these next matches that we're gonna talk about. Ooh, child. Okay, so here we go. So let's, Adolfo, are we ready? Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So
Matani versus Shuri for the IWGP Women's Title match. Yo, well, Mikey and I were talking about this before we came on. I am full of gratitude to Stardom World with the way that they put Queendom on, in that it's all episodes. So you don't have to like watch one match into another. You have time to like decompress. And starting with this match, I had to, when the match was over, I needed to stop and go hug my dog, hug my wife, cuz there was so much emotion in this. It was ridiculous. Mayu Iwatani and Shuri went to war in this match. And the hits, not only were they just hit like solid forearm shots to each other, headbutts to each other, but they were hitting more Iwatani hitting stuff off the top rope out into the outside of the ring. And Shuri, who has an MMA background, really stuck it to Mayu, in my opinion, right? Was able to fight back, and she showed a lot of heart. God's so much heart. I respect her even more, and I really liked Mayu Iwatani, because my first time seeing Mayu Iwatani was when she was down in CMLL, and I really enjoyed her then. And every time that we've watched Stardom, I really enjoyed every time I saw her. This match, in a previous episode, this match was my Rocky IV final match protocol. And the only difference is that she fought and fought, but and her soul was willing, the heart was there, but her body couldn't, and her body just shut down. She took so much damage from Shuri that Shuri gets the pin, and she's now your new IWGP women's champion. It was beautiful though. So here we are after this match, right? Like, we've gone through this. I'm like spent, but oh no. Now we have to do the whole emotional back half, where Shuri then thanks my honey, says, that this belt is heavy, it's going to become heavier, but I know you can carry it. And just like the respect, like, and seeing my emotion, like losing, it was like actual real tears. I don't know. So in American wrestling, I know that spoilers, wrestling is fake, right? There is a set outcome. However, the way that these girls sold, I don't know if they're, performing. I don't know if if this was like a call that the ref makes at the very end of the match. I don't know, but their emotions were just so real and so raw. I was so in it, and I just Mayu, you will always be a champion in my eyes.
So this is definitely one of my top 2 matches of the entire night, because I'm gonna be honest, like, there were, with these big Stardom pay-per-views that I'm starting to learn, there was not a miss on this card whatsoever. But this is probably this is definitely in my top list of the night, and possibly one of my favorite matches of the year, because of how much we blended the athleticism and the emotional stakes that were involved in this too. And I was just like, I think I'm shedding a tear. I can't articulate enough, coherently, of how choked up I started getting at the end of this. I was like, what the heck? Why am I crying over wrestling? What the heck?
And then interposed with that, you have just the hits that just, you could feel all those forearm shivs and headbutts that they delivered to each other. It was like, oh my God. When Shuri got that armbar choke with her legs, like, I was like, oh, she's really gonna choke her the fuck out. Yeah, I mean, I was just like, oh, oh, here we go, right? Yeah. And then I'll be honest, and I feel bad, but whoever it was, and I know that she's super popular, I apologize. I'm so sorry. But the girl in the red jumpsuit that came on and like challenged for the IWGP title afterwards, I was like, ma'am, get out of screen. You can do this in the backstage. We didn't need it.
That is very true, but that is very Stardom too, where we're just like, all right, we got a new champion. So who's their first? Oh, okay, it's gonna be you. Cool.
Yep.
But let's talk about this now too, because we get to the scrum, if you will call it, because we have the press conference afterwards, and we learned that first and foremost, Mayu Iwatani has held this belt for 800 plus days, which is crazy. That's even nuts. Her name is synonymous with Stardom, and she is one of the most decorated, Stardom girls ever to be in this company. And she is up there with the likes of like Julia and Kairi and Asuka and all that stuff. We learned that she's leaving Stardom and she's heading to Marigold, which is the other women's promotion in Japan, which also has relationships with a certain federation here in the States, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not mad about. Mayu has said that, I mean, for every wrestler, I think whether they are in the States or, internationally, ultimately they want to get to one of the bigger promotions in the States.
Oh,
and
sure.
So if this is where we end up going, where Mayu is able to get to the Fed like Julia has, I'm here for it. But what a last match to go out on.
Yeah, totally. Good luck in Marigold to Mayu. I will definitely continue to watch her over there. I hope that if she does make it to the States and is picked up by,
any of the federations,
one of those companies, that they do right by her. Because like this is a match of like a decade, you know what I mean? So they need to respect that.
No, absolutely.
You need to respect how good she already is. So
absolutely.
That's it. I'm not going to get on my soapbox. Go ahead. Let's go.
I love it when you get on your little soapbox. But no, the last thing I'll say about this before we move on to this literally felt like a passing of the torch moment with Mayu moving out of Stardom and heading to Marigold. Our new IWGP Women's Champion is literally going to be carrying the torch and carrying this championship into the next era for Stardom. And oh my goodness, the emotional weight, the stakes. This was beautiful.
And I'm excited to see Shuri's and how long she holds this belt and in her defenses for
Let's
it.
Get her to the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom.
Yo, for as much as I stand Mayu, I am fully behind Shuri. Like, she is raw and I love it. Like, yes, I'm excited. I hope Red Jumpsuit Girl feels that damn like choke armbar on her, because that was whoo doggy. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so this was amazing. So I want to preface by saying this. I actually really also love this match. These girls had a tough time having to go after with that, and they still managed to pull it off. They still managed to pull it off. But this was for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Our champion Starlight taking on Azumi, who congratulations, and is our New Japan Women's Strong Champion as well. Oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful moment.
But not only that, it was also for leadership of Neo Genesis.
Yes,
Neo Genesis, who I believe is my favorite faction in Stardom. So just putting that out there.
I loved it, but this match ruled too, because I was afraid because of what happened beforehand. I was like, oh, these girls are gonna have to fight for it. No, they didn't have to, because within the first 5 minutes, I was like, all right, kids, I'm in. Strap in, because this is about to be crazy.
Yeah. Very interesting factoid. They both have gotten training from Desperado of New Japan fame. So that was interesting to find out.
We love Despy in this household.
Yeah, this another Rocky IV final fight. They went at it. Starlight Kid, her mouth started bleeding. I don't even know if it was the headbutt or if the blood count 3. Yeah, she was bleeding from her mouth. Azumi showing off how talented she is, hitting beautiful planchas off the top rope, just not afraid. Starlight Kid coming back. She did this unreal shooting star press from the ring apron out on to the outside of the ring. It was picture perfect. It was like one of those moves that as she started, it should have like flipped into flow motion, and like Ave Maria should have started playing when she did it. That's how just graceful and beautiful it was. Azumi, she too showed how much heart she has, because everything Starlight Kid threw at her, she took and brought it back. It took 2 star suplexes from Starlight Kid to put down Azumi for the pin. So, because when the hair starts flying, it's a cat fight in the best of ways.
I really love this match. Starlight Kid does win, so she does maintain leadership of Neo Genesis, which we love. Also, I love that Starlight Kid wears a mask too. I was just like, yes, ma'am, we love to see it. This was such a good match, and granted that Resurgence wasn't until later after the show, but now both of these women are champions. So
yeah,
I'm so excited. I can't wait to see where this goes.
And the end, it wasn't how to word in English. There was a lot of emotion at the end of this as well. It wasn't as tearful as the Shuri Mayu match, but again, I loved the respect that these two showed for each other. They shook hands, they hugged, they showed that even though they were fighting, they still respected each other, and then they walked off to their next match so Azumi could win the New Japan Women's Championship. It was good. It was really good.
This was great. I love this. So
okay,
hold up. Now I gotta take my glasses off because I think this is my match of the year too. Oh my god. Okay, so let me set this up and then let's see if we can coherently talk about this. So this was our main event. This was for the World of Stardom Championship, but the added stipulation to this was a career versus career match, which means somebody was going to retire by the end of this. So we have our champion and Saya taking on somebody on the same level as Mayu Iwatani and very decorated in Stardom in Miss Tam Nakano. First and foremost, the entrances had me. This production was had. The match itself, holy Adolfo.
From the get-go, this just had epic anime written all over
This was final battle, final episode of the series.
Wow. Just, so Tam, right off the bat, Tam comes out. They have these projected falling fur when she comes out. She's wearing this beautiful white outfit, very magical girl. She even has a staff, you know what I mean? And then Saya comes out, it's black feathers are shown falling, and she's all in this beautiful black robe situation, man. And they made their entrances and then they went to work. I would love to ask, if I ever get a chance to talk to either one of these outstanding athletes, what it's like to wrestle someone that has so much dangly stuff. Because Saya, both of them had so much stuff hanging off their ring gear. It looked beautiful when they were moving. It just wow, it was crazy. Anyway, sorry. Hard hitting, so much pageantry and presentation. Oh my god, it was so good. I have to apologize for this one too. I apologize that I am coming in at the very tail end of this story, because apparently this story has been going on for years. Tam injured Saya in a match, and that's where we get this dark Saya Kimitani persona. Also, it is important to note that Saya Kimitani is with Hate, the faction Hate, and Tam Nakano is with the Cosmic Angel faction. So that's also, I found that very interesting as well. Yeah, right off the bat, Saya just showing that Hate, that dark persona, because she pulled a chain out from under the ring, wrapped it around. Well, first, because hey, we're Hate, so what does Hate do? We like to beat the refs. So she beat the ref with the chain, and then she got Tam with that chain around her neck and started choking her with that. But then Tam started fighting back. There was a spot where Saya pulled out a folding chair and sits in the middle of the ring. Tam fights back. Kimitani hits this beautiful on Tam on the outside of the ring. And towards the middle of this match, that's when like the raw emotion starts coming out on these two. To which I was like, wrestling, or are they like really fighting now? You know? And not like it was the whole slaps that like made me question, like, okay, what line did we cross now? Because like they started doing this, and I guess it's a thing that they do in Stardom, but they started slapping each other back and forth, and they were hauling off. And then Tam, it seemed like she just let Saya just give it to her, because Saya just slap, 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 slap. The end of this was just so I'm spent after this match. Rocky 4 final fight, right? But then the emotion that these two had, it's Saya, like the realization that Saya has retired Tam, who for all intents and purposes was a mentor, dare I say, for her, and Tam realizing that her career is over, but she was happy that she lost to Saya Kimitani. They both pick each other up, walk down the ramp, and like kneel and like look out, holding each other, right? As like we got fog around them and black and white feathers falling, and then
Fade to black.
Oh man, it was
so. I don't want to get very meta and very sentimental because we got to wrap it up. But
yeah,
as soon as this match ended and it just went to the fade to black, not going into too much detail, but I sat there and I'm just like, I've had this moment happen with all the, I review everything, but within the last like year or so, I've had a moment where I'm like, damn, I'm really proud to be able to cover this, because when it's good, it's good. And I sat there, and at first I was like, oh my God, I think this is my match of the year. Something else is going to have to be crazy extraordinary for it to dethrone it for me, honestly. Yeah. And then I sat there and I was just like, I started crying a little bit, because I was like, oh my God, we just barely started covering Stardom in depth this year. And I'm like, I don't know if Adolfo feels the same way as me, but we two are very lucky to be able to get to witness this kind of stuff.
I got a little mad that I wasn't able to watch this live, like when it actually happened. However, then I truly appreciated that I was able to watch it. I took a moment, I collected myself, and then I did some really, some research, and yeah, Tam Nakano, she's done. She hasn't re-signed with anyone. She hasn't come back as a different persona somewhere else. She is done for all intents and purposes. From everything that I've seen, she is done with wrestling. She has retired from wrestling. So that quite literally was her last match. And for giving us that, both of you, domo.
Yeah, like you said, we talked about a couple of weeks ago too. Tam Nakano is officially retired. She is not getting a ceremony, a retirement road, or anything as per Tom's request leading into the match too. So she is officially retired. She's going to enjoy whatever she does next. And again, I feel very grateful and very blessed, if you want to use that term, that we got to witness this at the moment that we did, because again, we decided end of December we wanted to try out Stardom, cover it full time. We love New Year Dream. This was amazing all the way through.
Yeah, and I'm super excited now to see the direction that Stardom is going to go, and I'm really happy that I get to be part of this new direction for Stardom, where they do have a lot of new people taking these championships and new rivalries and whatnot. So I'm like, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready.
I honestly, I think we got in at the right time, because now we truly get to be here for the beginning of this new chapter, this new era for Stardom. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, Adolfo, that's the end of our All-Star Grand Queendom review. And my goodness, what a show, man. Top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's reviews like this that make me super excited to do what we do here at BC WrestlePod, because we have all found such a big passion, not just with the regular feds, but I love getting to be able to have everybody also include the internationals and want to be a part of the international teams as well. because wrestling around the world is fantastic, and we have so much choice in 2025 of what's out there. So
Yeah.
if somebody decides to check it out because of this or other things, please do yourself a favor. Stardom World if you can afford to.
Yeah. Apparently some of like the matches or like clipped versions of the matches are on YouTube.
Well, yeah, on the Stardom channel.
On Stardom, and also on Wrestle Universe as well.
Yep.
You can catch like the Sendai girl stuff on Wrestle Universe. But yeah, please, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a true wrestling fan and not one of these poser neckbeard knuckle dragger wrestling fans, they're like, there can only be one. Find some of these Stardom matches, some of these Sendai matches, Marigold, and watch them. They are so good. You'll just, as a wrestling fan, your heart will sing.
It really, really is. But that is going to be it. We have reached the end of this episode of Oedo Bites. Stay tuned to the social medias as we continue on to see what we'll be covering with Stardom next. But we are not quite done with Japan quite yet.
Nope.
We might be finished with Stardom for a little bit, but we are still going to be here as, Adolfo and I, who are also part of the Strong Style Syndicate. This Friday, you can catch us again, dropping our recaps of this week's Best of the Super Junior blocks. Yeah, Ninja Mac is so good. I'm not even. Anyways, I can't wait for the official review in 2 weeks, because then we can talk about all the people that surprised us in the blocks and like all the stuff. It's gonna be fun. But stay tuned for that Friday. But then officially, our next long length review is going to be in 4 weeks for New Japan's Dominion. So I'm excited. It's coming for us from, I think it's Osaka Hall, which is a really big venue too. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. But speaking of upcoming projects, before we sign us out for the evening, let me go over what the remainder of the week entails, because even though it's a bit of a short week here at BC WrestlePod, as I'm giving everybody some time off for Memorial Day weekend, we still got a lot of fun stuff. So tomorrow evening begins all the fun stuff with AEW and our episodes leading into, June. So tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, the review. And myself, the Professor, and JVL will be covering the Beach Break edition of Dynamite and Collision. So not only will you get to see us in our summer wear, JVL gonna be wearing a swimsuit. Professor might be wearing some sunscreen on the face. Wow. I will be wearing the unbuttoned summer shirt to show all the goodies, but not really, so we don't get demonetized. And also, we will be doing a giveaway, but you're gonna have to tune into that review tomorrow night to figure out what it is and how to get said thing we're giving away. Right? So then on Wednesday, you get a double dose of reviews. First at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern is the NXT Losos review, where we will be reviewing the Go Home show for NXT as we prepare for Battleground this Sunday. So NXT's next PLE is here. Battleground comes from Tampa, and we got some really great matches. We are getting Oba Femi versus Miles Bourne. We are getting Tony D'Angelo versus Stacks of the fallout that happened at Stand and Deliver. We are also getting a TNA World Championship match. Joe Hendry defending his title against Trick Williams, which is, again, another Nani moment. But the match I'm looking forward to the most is the NXT Women's Championship match. Stephanie Vaquer defending her title against Jordan Grace. Lord have mercy, that match is going to be good. But if you thought that was crazy and amazing, you should come back later at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, as Los will be taking you through another fantastic episode as we will be reviewing that, and we are preparing ourselves because the next 2 Fridays is the Copa Junior, which I'm super excited for. And then, of course, we're leading into all the crossovers. We are getting the AEW versus CML Grand Slam Mexico, and then all leading to Fantastica.
Oh, dude.
Lord, we are going to be having so much fun.
Oh, man. So much good wrestling coming up.
So good. And then we are going to end our short week on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, as we debut our newest review team, the Ring Rats and Riot Acts, as we are now adding Defy Wrestling to our rotation of reviews, and we are popping the cherry, so to speak, myself and Andrew, by reviewing Defy's recent pay-per-view, Fatal Fantasy, which of course showcased in the main event Murder Grandpa himself, Minoru Suzuki.
I was gonna say, is that Murder Grandpa? That's Murder Grandpa.
That was such a fun main event. It was him versus Joey Janela, and it was so much fun to watch.
I might have to go and watch that.
And also Marina Shafir being a badass and defending her Defy Women's Championship against Smiley Kylie Ray, who was also great. Defy Wrestling is an easy watch. It was only like 2.5 hours. Like, honestly, it's such an easy watch through. The wrestling's fantastic. And me and Andrew are excited because the next one's in June, and we are getting the Defy Wrestling debut of Cedric Alexander, which makes us so excited. It's gonna be fun.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Now that his no compete is up, he is popping up in all the places, and I'm excited.
Nice. That's really cool.
So
yeah, it's really interesting with this last round of cuts.
Yeah,
that's been done to see where people, and I know that there's a lot of this person going. Yeah, I'm really interested to see once the dust settles, once those 90 days are up and all that nonsense is done, where people actually like start showing up. Because
June is gonna be June's going to be an interesting month because Cedric is a Defy, and if we were to believe the teaser that we got at Azteca Lucha, a certain green-haired woman might be popping up at Summer of the Beast for MLW, which makes me excited.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is going to be it for us here at Owedo Bites. So tune in tomorrow for all Elite Ensemble and the rest of all the shows we got going on this week. But for myself and Adolfo, thank you so much for being here for this review and for continuing to support us, because it is people like you watching us and leaving us comments that makes this worthwhile. So until next time, from myself, Adolfo, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you tomorrow for AEW, but until then, adios. Remember, take the time to love.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.